Ethan Williams stood before the mirror in his expansive penthouse, adjusting the tie of his new, off-the-rack suit. It was a far cry from the custom-made attire he usually wore. Today, however, marked the beginning of an experiment that would take him far from his usual world of luxury and power. As the CEO of one of Silicon Valley's most innovative tech companies, Ethan had grown tired of the constant pressures and superficial relationships that came with his status. He needed a break, a way to reconnect with the essence of his company and the people who made it thrive. Disguised as a regular employee, he aimed to see his empire through the eyes of those who worked for him every day. Ethan took a deep breath and walked out of his penthouse, leaving behind the trappings of wealth. His journey began on the company's shuttle, blending in with the employees who had no idea they were sitting next to their boss. The headquarters of Williams Tech was a gleaming glass structure, a symbol of modern innovation. As he entered the building, Ethan felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He was about to experience his company from a perspective he had never known. The HR department processed his fake identity with ease. Ethan Williams was now Ethan Gray, a new assistant developer. With a quick glance at his reflection in the elevator doors, he stepped onto the floor where he would be working. The open-plan office was buzzing with activity, a stark contrast to the serene isolation of his executive suite. He found his desk, modest and cluttered with the everyday tools of a tech worker. Ethan's first assignment was under the guidance of Sarah Mitchell, the company's operations manager. Sarah was known for her dedication and sharp mind. She had been instrumental in the company's growth, yet Ethan had never interacted with her directly. She approached his desk with a warm smile, her brown eyes sparkling with intelligence and curiosity. "Welcome aboard, Ethan," she said, extending her hand. "I hope you're ready to dive into some challenging projects." Ethan shook her hand, feeling a surprising jolt of nervousness. "Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it." Sarah began to explain the project they were working on, a new software update aimed at enhancing user experience. Ethan listened intently, impressed by her command of the subject. It was clear she was passionate about her work, and her enthusiasm was contagious. As the day progressed, Ethan found himself genuinely enjoying the tasks and the camaraderie of his team. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan's initial excitement only grew. He spent his lunch breaks with colleagues, learning about their lives, their struggles, and their dreams. The more he engaged with them, the more he appreciated the hard work and dedication that went into every aspect of his company. His interactions with Sarah became a highlight of his day. She was not only brilliant, but also kind and approachable. They shared many laughs and deep conversations, often staying late to finish projects or brainstorm new ideas. One evening, as they wrapped up a particularly challenging task, Sarah invited Ethan to a family dinner. "You've been such a great addition to the team, Ethan. I'd love for you to meet my family. We're having a small get-together this weekend." Ethan hesitated for a moment, knowing the potential complications. But his curiosity and growing feelings for Sarah overrode his caution. "I'd love to, Sarah. Thank you for the invitation." The dinner was held at Sarah's parents' home in a quiet, suburban neighborhood. As Ethan arrived, he felt a twinge of unease. This was the most personal interaction he had had since starting his undercover experiment. Sarah greeted him at the door, her face lighting up with a smile that made his apprehensions fade. "Come in, Ethan. Make yourself at home," she said, leading him inside. The evening began pleasantly, with Sarah's family welcoming Ethan warmly. The house was filled with laughter and the mouth-watering aroma of home-cooked food. Ethan felt a sense of belonging that he hadn't experienced in years. As they sat down for dinner, the conversation flowed easily, touching on various topics from work to hobbies. However, as the night progressed, the atmosphere subtly shifted. Sarah's father, Thomas Mitchell, who had been quiet for most of the evening, began to probe Ethan with questions about his background. Ethan answered cautiously, sticking to his fabricated story. But when Thomas mentioned his own career in the tech industry, Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "Years ago, I worked at a company that was crushed by a competitor," Thomas said, his tone bitter. "The CEO was ruthless, and it nearly destroyed my career." Ethan's blood ran cold as he realized the company Thomas was referring to was one of his early acquisitions. He had been aggressive in his business tactics, and many competitors had fallen as a result. Thomas continued, "It took years to rebuild my life. That CEO, Ethan Williams, had no regard for the lives he ruined." Ethan's stomach churned with guilt. The realization that Sarah's father was one of his old rivals hit him hard. He glanced at Sarah, who seemed unaware of the connection. How could he tell her that he was the very man her father despised? As the dinner ended, Ethan excused himself early, his mind in turmoil. He had come to admire and care deeply for Sarah, but this revelation threatened everything. Back at his apartment, Ethan grappled with his conscience. He had to tell Sarah the truth, but the fear of losing her paralyzed him. Days passed, and Ethan's behavior became more distant and distracted. Sarah noticed the change and confronted him one evening after work. "Ethan, what's going on? You've been acting so strange lately." Ethan took a deep breath, knowing he couldn't hide the truth any longer. "Sarah, there's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice trembling. "I'm not who you think I am." Sarah's expression shifted from concern to confusion. "What do you mean?" "I'm Ethan Williams, the CEO of this company," he confessed. "I disguised myself to understand my employees better, and in doing so, I discovered things I never anticipated. Your father. He was one of my competitors, and I was the one who—" Sarah's eyes widened with shock and disbelief as Ethan's words trailed off. The room was filled with a tense silence, the weight of Ethan's confession hanging heavily between them. The shock in Sarah's eyes mirrored the turmoil in Ethan's heart. For a moment, neither of them spoke, the silence echoing with the gravity of Ethan's confession. He had anticipated many reactions, but the pain and betrayal etched on Sarah's face cut deeper than he had imagined. "Why, Ethan?" Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper, trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. "Why would you do this?" Ethan swallowed hard, trying to steady his voice. "I never meant to deceive you, Sarah. I started this experiment to understand my company from the inside, to see the real struggles and successes of my employees. I had no idea that I would meet you or your family. I had no idea how much this would complicate things." Sarah took a step back, her eyes narrowing. "So, this was just some grand experiment to you? Did you ever consider how this would affect the people around you?" "Of course I did," Ethan pleaded, his voice cracking. "But by the time I realized how much you meant to me, I was already in too deep. I didn't know how to tell you the truth without losing you." Sarah's eyes welled with tears, and she quickly wiped them away, her expression hardening. "You've already lost me, Ethan. This was my family. How could you not tell me?" Ethan reached out, but Sarah recoiled, her eyes flashing with a mixture of sorrow and anger. "Sarah, please. I never wanted to hurt you. I care about you more than I can express." "Care?" Sarah's voice was sharp, each word a dagger. "You care about me, yet you've lied to me from the very beginning. You let me bring you into my home, introduce you to my family, all while hiding who you really are." Ethan's heart sank further. He could see the walls going up around Sarah, the barriers he had inadvertently erected with his deception. He had hoped that honesty would bring them closer, but it seemed to be driving them further apart. "I was going to tell you, Sarah," he said quietly. "I was just trying to find the right moment." Sarah shook her head, stepping back again. "There's no right moment for this kind of betrayal, Ethan. I trusted you. My family trusted you. And now, I don't even know who you are." Ethan felt a surge of desperation. "I'm still the same person, Sarah. The person who worked alongside you, who admired you, who fell for you. That hasn't changed." Sarah's laugh was bitter, devoid of any warmth. "But it has, Ethan, because now I see that person was just a facade. How am I supposed to believe anything you say?" Ethan was at a loss for words. He could see the pain he had caused, and it felt like a chasm was opening up between them, one he wasn't sure he could bridge. He wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but he knew it would be unwelcome. "Sarah, I'm so sorry," he whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion. "I never meant for it to come to this. I just wanted to be closer to the people who make this company what it is. I never expected to find someone like you." Sarah turned away, her shoulders shaking as she tried to hold back her tears. "I need some time, Ethan. I can't deal with this right now." Ethan nodded, though it pained him to see her walk away. I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll be here if you want to talk. Sarah didn't respond. She just walked out of the office, leaving Ethan alone with his regret and guilt. He sank into his chair, his mind racing with thoughts of how he could make things right, though he feared it might already be too late. The next few days were agonizingly slow. Ethan threw himself into work, trying to distract himself from the emptiness he felt. He attended meetings, reviewed projects, and spoke with employees, but his mind was always on Sarah. Each interaction with her was now strained, the warmth and camaraderie replaced with cold formality. One evening, Ethan received a call from his executive assistant, Madison. Ethan, you have a visitor. It's Thomas Mitchell. He's waiting in the lobby. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Sarah's father. What could he possibly want? With a deep breath, he instructed Madison to send Thomas up. Moments later, the man walked into Ethan's office, his expression unreadable. Mr. Mitchell, Ethan greeted, standing up and extending his hand. Thomas ignored it, his gaze piercing. Let's not pretend to be friends, Mr. Williams. I'm here to talk about my daughter. Ethan's stomach tightened. Of course. Please, have a seat. Thomas remained standing. What kind of game are you playing, Ethan? First, you ruined my career, and now you're toying with my daughter's emotions? Ethan's chest tightened with guilt and frustration. Mr. Mitchell, I assure you, this is not a game. I care deeply for Sarah. I never intended to hurt her or your family. Thomas's eyes blazed with anger. Intentions mean nothing when your actions speak so loudly. Sarah is devastated. She trusted you, brought you into our home, and now she's left questioning everything because of your lies. Ethan felt a pang of regret. I understand why you're angry, and you have every right to be. I made mistakes, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. Thomas crossed his arms, his expression skeptical. And how do you plan to do that? You can't undo the past, Ethan. You can't erase the pain you've caused. Ethan took a deep breath, his resolve firming. I know I can't change the past, but I can try to make amends. I can be honest from now on, and I can work to rebuild the trust I've broken. Thomas shook his head, his eyes filled with disappointment. Trust is not something you can simply rebuild with words, Ethan. It takes actions, consistent, genuine actions. And frankly, I don't know if you're capable of that. Ethan's heart sank. He knew winning back Thomas's approval would be nearly impossible, but he had to try. I'll do whatever it takes, Mr. Mitchell. I love your daughter, and I'm committed to proving that to her and to you. Thomas stared at Ethan for a long moment before speaking again. For your sake, I hope you're sincere. Because if you hurt Sarah again, there will be no forgiveness. Not from her, and certainly not from me. With that, Thomas turned and walked out of the office, leaving Ethan with a renewed sense of determination. He had a long, uphill battle ahead, but he was willing to face it if it meant a chance at redemption. The following days, Ethan focused on small but meaningful actions. He made an effort to be more approachable, more human, with his employees. He took the time to listen, to understand their concerns, and to show his appreciation. Slowly, he started to see a change in the way they interacted with him, a glimmer of trust beginning to form. One evening, as Ethan was finishing up a project, he received an unexpected text from Sarah. Can we talk? His heart leapt with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Of course, he replied. I'll come to you. They met at a quiet cafe, away from the prying eyes of the office. Sarah looked tired, the weight of the past few days evident on her face. They sat in silence for a few moments before she finally spoke. I've been thinking a lot, Ethan, she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. About everything you said, everything that's happened. Ethan nodded, waiting for her to continue. I won't lie, she said, her eyes meeting his. It's going to take a long time for me to trust you again, but I've seen how you've been trying to change, how you've been more present and genuine with everyone at work. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. Sarah, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn back your trust. I care about you more than you know. She took a deep breath, her expression softening just a bit. I need time, Ethan, and I need to see consistent actions, not just words. Ethan reached out, his hand covering hers. "You have my word, Sarah. I'm in this for the long haul. I'll prove to you that I'm worthy of your trust." Sarah nodded slowly, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "We'll see, Ethan. We'll see." As they sat together, a fragile truce forming between them, Ethan felt a glimmer of hope. The next few weeks at Williams Tech were a whirlwind of activity, but the air between Ethan and Sarah was filled with an uneasy tension. Ethan was determined to show Sarah that he could change, that he could be the man she deserved. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready for the challenge. Ethan continued his efforts to engage more deeply with his employees. He made a point of having lunch in the company cafeteria rather than his office, sitting with different teams each day to listen to their ideas and concerns. He wanted to be more than just the face of the company. He wanted to be a part of its beating heart. The more he interacted with his employees, the more he realized how much he had missed while being isolated in his executive suite. Sarah watched these changes with cautious eyes. She appreciated his efforts, but her guard remained up. The pain of his deception was still fresh, and trust was not something that could be rebuilt overnight. They worked together professionally, their interactions polite but distant. The easy camaraderie they once shared was now replaced with a layer of formality that neither of them could shake. One Friday afternoon, as the workweek was winding down, Ethan received an email that caught his attention. It was an invitation to the annual company retreat, a weekend event designed to foster team building and innovation. This year, it was being held at a rustic lodge in the mountains, a perfect escape from the daily grind of Silicon Valley. Ethan hesitated for a moment before deciding to go. This could be an opportunity to connect with his team on a deeper level and perhaps find a way to bridge the gap between him and Sarah. He sent a quick reply, confirming his attendance. As the day of the retreat approached, Ethan found himself feeling both excited and anxious. He packed his bags, choosing casual clothes that would fit in better with the more relaxed environment of the lodge. When he arrived, he was greeted by a stunning view of the mountains. The lodge nestled in a serene valley surrounded by towering trees and a sparkling lake. The first evening at the lodge was filled with icebreaker activities and group games. Ethan made a point to participate fully, laughing and engaging with his employees in a way he never had before. He noticed Sarah watching him from a distance, her expression unreadable. Later that night, after most of the team had retired to their rooms, Ethan found himself outside by the lake, staring at the reflection of the stars on the water. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Sarah approaching, her face illuminated by the moonlight. "Mind if I join you?" she asked softly. "Not at all," Ethan replied, motioning to the spot beside him. They stood in silence for a few moments, the sound of the water gently lapping at the shore filling the night air. Finally, Sarah spoke. "You've been doing a lot of good things lately, Ethan. People are noticing." Ethan turned to look at her, his eyes searching hers for any sign of forgiveness. "I'm just trying to be better, Sarah. To be the kind of person you and everyone else can trust." Sarah sighed, her breath visible in the cool night air. "It's not that simple. Trust isn't something you can just earn back with a few good deeds. It takes time and consistency." "I know," Ethan said, his voice filled with determination. "And I'm prepared to do whatever it takes, for as long as it takes." Sarah nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting a mixture of hope and doubt. "I hope you mean that, Ethan, because it's not just about work. It's personal." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. "I understand, Sarah, and I want you to know that my feelings for you are real. They always have been. I never intended to hurt you, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if I have to." Sarah looked down at her feet, then back up at Ethan, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I want to believe you, Ethan. I really do, but it's going to take time." Ethan reached out and gently took her hand, his touch tentative. "I'll wait as long as it takes, Sarah. You're worth it." Sarah squeezed his hand briefly before letting go, a small smile playing on her lips. "We'll see, Ethan. We'll see." The next day, the retreat continued with a series of workshops and team-building exercises. Ethan and Sarah were paired together for many of the activities, their collaboration a mix of professional efficiency and underlying tension. They worked well together, their combined skills creating a dynamic partnership that impressed their colleagues. During one of the breaks, Ethan found himself sitting with Sarah on a bench overlooking the lake. They talked about work, their hopes for the company, and slowly, cautiously, about their personal lives. It was the most open and honest conversation they had had since Ethan's confession, and it felt like a small but significant step forward. That evening, there was a bonfire by the lake. The team gathered around sharing stories and laughter. Ethan watched as Sarah laughed with her friends, her face lit up by the firelight. He felt a pang of longing, wishing he could be part of that joy without the shadow of his past mistakes hanging over them. As the night wore on, Ethan found himself alone by the fire, the rest of the team slowly drifting off to their rooms. He was about to leave when Sarah appeared beside him, her expression serious. "Can we talk?" she asked. Ethan nodded, gesturing for her to sit beside him. "Of course." Sarah took a deep breath, her eyes meeting his with a mix of determination and vulnerability. "I've been thinking a lot about everything. About us. And I realized that holding on to anger and mistrust isn't going to help either of us." Ethan's heart raced. "What are you saying, Sarah?" "I'm saying that I'm willing to try," she said softly, "to see if we can rebuild what we had. But it's going to take a lot of work, and I need to know that you're committed to this, to us." Ethan's eyes filled with gratitude and hope. "I am, Sarah, more than anything. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." Sarah nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Then let's start with a clean slate. No more secrets, no more lies. Just honesty and effort." Ethan reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Agreed. A clean slate." The retreat concluded with a sense of renewed energy among the team, and Ethan returned to the office feeling cautiously optimistic. The fragile truce he and Sarah had established at the lake gave him hope that their relationship might heal over time. However, he knew that words alone wouldn't suffice. His actions needed to reflect his commitment to change. Ethan's first step was to involve Sarah more directly in the decision-making processes at Williams Tech. He wanted to ensure she saw his genuine effort to be transparent and inclusive. He scheduled a series of meetings to discuss upcoming projects and sought her input on strategies to improve team collaboration and efficiency. One afternoon, Ethan and Sarah sat in a conference room, reviewing proposals for a new software initiative. The room was quiet, save for the sound of pages turning and occasional murmurs of agreement or critique. "This proposal from the development team looks promising," Sarah said, her eyes scanning the document. "But I think we need to address the potential security vulnerabilities before moving forward." Ethan nodded, appreciating her keen eye for detail. "I agree. Let's arrange a meeting with the security team to go over these concerns. Your insights have been invaluable, Sarah." She looked up, her expression softening slightly. "Thanks, Ethan. I'm glad to be a part of this process." Their professional interactions gradually grew more comfortable, the tension easing bit by bit. Ethan made a point of being more present, not just as a CEO, but as a leader who genuinely cared about his team's well-being. He organized regular check-ins with different departments, ensuring everyone felt heard and valued. Outside of work, Ethan continued to show Sarah that he was committed to their personal relationship as well. He invited her to casual dinners, where they talked about everything but work. Movies, books, their favorite places to visit. Slowly, their conversations started to feel more natural, the walls between them lowering just a bit. One evening, as they were finishing dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant, Ethan took a deep breath, deciding to share something deeply personal. "Sarah, there's something I've been wanting to tell you," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "About why I decided to go undercover in the first place." Sarah looked at him, curiosity and concern in her eyes. "Go on." Ethan hesitated for a moment, gathering his thoughts. "I've always been driven by success, by the need to be the best. But somewhere along the way, I lost sight of what really mattered. I became disconnected from the people who make this company what it is. And honestly, I felt disconnected from myself." He paused, watching her reaction. Sarah nodded, encouraging him to continue. "My parents were both highly successful in their fields," Ethan continued. "They pushed me hard, and I pushed myself even harder. But in my quest to make them proud, I forgot to take care of my own happiness. I thought success would fill the void, but it only made it bigger." Sarah's eyes softened with understanding. That's a lot of pressure, Ethan. It's no wonder you felt the need to step back and reassess. Ethan nodded, grateful for her empathy. Going undercover was my way of trying to find that connection again. And in the process, I found something much more valuable, you. Sarah reached across the table, taking his hand. Thank you for sharing that with me, Ethan. It helps me understand your motives better. And I appreciate your honesty. Ethan squeezed her hand, feeling a surge of hope. I'm committed to making things right, Sarah. Not just for us, but for everyone at Williams Tech. I want to build a company where people feel valued and heard. Sarah smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. That's a goal I can get behind. As the weeks passed, Ethan continued to work on rebuilding trust with Sarah and his employees. He introduced new initiatives aimed at improving work-life balance, such as flexible work hours and mental health support programs. These changes were well received, and the overall morale of the company began to improve. One day, Ethan called an all-hands meeting to announce a new mentorship program. The room was filled with anticipation as he stood at the front, ready to speak. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice confident yet sincere. "I've spent a lot of time thinking about how we can continue to grow as a company, not just in terms of our products, but in terms of our culture and values. Today, I'm excited to announce the launch of a mentorship program designed to foster growth and collaboration across all levels of our organization." He paused, glancing at Sarah, who stood among the employees, her expression supportive. "This program will pair senior leaders with newer employees, providing guidance, support, and opportunities for career development. I believe that by investing in each other, we can create a stronger, more cohesive team." The room erupted in applause, and Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment. As the meeting concluded, employees came up to him, expressing their enthusiasm for the initiative. Sarah approached last, her eyes shining with pride. "That was a great announcement, Ethan. I think this program will make a big difference." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you, Sarah. Your support means the world to me." Their relationship continued to evolve, both professionally and personally. Ethan and Sarah found a new rhythm, one built on honesty and mutual respect. They faced challenges together, navigating the complexities of their past while looking toward a hopeful future. One evening, as they were walking through a park, Sarah stopped and turned to Ethan, a thoughtful expression on her face. "You know, Ethan, I never expected things to turn out this way, but I'm glad they did. I've seen you grow and change, and it gives me hope for what we can achieve together." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him, her words a balm to his soul. "I feel the same way, Sarah. Thank you for giving me a chance to prove myself." She smiled, taking his hand. "It's a journey, Ethan, and I'm willing to walk it with you." As the months went by, Ethan and Sarah continued to navigate their complex relationship. Ethan's dedication to transparency and ethical leadership was slowly changing the company culture at Williams Tech. Employees felt more connected and appreciated, and the new initiatives were bearing fruit. Yet, the shadow of Ethan's past mistakes loomed over him, particularly his history with Sarah's father, Thomas Mitchell. Ethan knew that he needed to confront this part of his past if he ever hoped to fully heal his relationship with Sarah. He had tried to broach the subject a few times, but each attempt had ended with Sarah changing the topic or avoiding the conversation entirely. Ethan understood her reluctance. The pain caused by his actions was still fresh and raw. One evening, after a particularly successful team meeting, Ethan decided to take the plunge. He invited Sarah to dinner at a quiet, upscale restaurant, hoping the serene environment would help ease the tension. As they sat down, Ethan could sense Sarah's unease. She had been supportive of his efforts to improve the company, but there was a lingering distance between them that he couldn't ignore. "Sarah," he began, his voice gentle but firm, "there's something important we need to discuss. I know it's difficult, but I think it's time we talk about your father." Sarah looked down at her plate, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of her glass. "Ethan, I know we need to talk about this, but it's just so hard. My dad went through so much because of your company's actions. I don't know if I can ever fully move past that." Ethan reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I understand, Sarah, and I don't expect forgiveness overnight, but I want you to know the whole story, from my perspective." Maybe it will help us find some common ground. Sarah nodded reluctantly. Okay, Ethan, I'm listening. Ethan took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. When I started Williams Tech, I was young and ambitious. I wanted to make a mark, to prove myself in the industry. I pushed hard, sometimes too hard. Your father's company was one of my early acquisitions. I thought I was doing what was necessary to succeed, but in hindsight, I see that my actions were ruthless and short-sighted. Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but she remained silent, allowing Ethan to continue. I didn't know your father personally back then. To me, it was just business. But over the years, I've come to realize the impact of those decisions on real people's lives. I've seen the damage it caused, not just to him, but to you and your family. And for that, I am truly sorry. Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper. Do you really mean that, Ethan? Ethan squeezed her hand, his gaze unwavering. Yes, Sarah, I do. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on my past, and I'm committed to making amends. I've already started reaching out to some of the people affected by my decisions, offering support and apologies where I can. Your father is at the top of that list. Sarah looked up, her eyes meeting his. Have you talked to him yet? Ethan shook his head. No, not yet. But I want to. I want to apologize to him directly and see if there's anything I can do to make things right. I know it won't be easy, but it's something I need to do. Sarah took a deep breath, her expression softening slightly. I appreciate that, Ethan. It's a start. And maybe, just maybe, it will help us move forward. Ethan felt a surge of hope. Thank you, Sarah. I'll reach out to your father tomorrow. The next day, Ethan called Thomas Mitchell, his heart pounding with anxiety. Thomas answered after a few rings, his voice cautious. Mr. Williams, what can I do for you? Mr. Mitchell, Ethan began, trying to keep his voice steady. I'd like to meet with you. There are some things I need to say, face to face. Thomas was silent for a moment before replying. Very well. How about tomorrow afternoon at the coffee shop near my office? That sounds perfect. Thank you, Ethan said, relief washing over him. The following afternoon, Ethan arrived at the coffee shop early, his nerves on edge. He ordered a coffee and sat by the window, watching the world go by as he waited. When Thomas walked in, Ethan stood up, extending his hand. Thank you for meeting with me, Mr. Mitchell. Thomas shook his hand, his grip firm but not overly friendly. Let's get to the point, Mr. Williams. What do you need to say? Ethan took a deep breath, looking Thomas directly in the eyes. I'm here to apologize, Mr. Mitchell, for everything. My actions caused a lot of pain for you and your family, and I deeply regret that. I was too focused on success to see the human cost of my decisions. Thomas's expression softened slightly, but his eyes remained wary. Why now, Ethan? Why this sudden change of heart? Ethan nodded, understanding the skepticism. It's not sudden. I've been on this journey for a while now, trying to understand the impact of my actions and make amends where I can. Meeting Sarah has made me confront my past more directly. I care about her deeply, and I want to be worthy of her trust. Thomas sighed, his gaze dropping to the table. You've put my daughter in a difficult position. She's torn between her feelings for you and her loyalty to her family. I know, Ethan said softly, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. Not just for Sarah, but for you and everyone else affected by my past decisions. Thomas looked up, his eyes searching Ethan's face. Actions speak louder than words, Ethan. If you're serious about this, you'll need to prove it over time. I understand, Ethan replied, and I'm ready to do that. I want to start by offering my support in any way that could help you and your family. Whether it's professional or personal, I'm here to help. Thomas considered this for a moment before nodding slowly. Very well. Let's see how this goes. But know that I'll be watching closely. Ethan smiled, feeling a glimmer of hope. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. That's all I can ask for. As they finished their coffee, the conversation shifted to more neutral topics. Ethan felt a weight lifting off his shoulders. This meeting was a crucial step toward healing the rift between him and Sarah's family, and he was determined to prove himself worthy of their trust. When Ethan returned to the office, he found Sarah waiting for him. She looked anxious, her eyes searching his for any sign of how the meeting had gone. "How did it go?" she asked, her voice tentative. Ethan smiled, taking her hands in his. "It went well. Your father and I had a good conversation. It's a start, Sarah. A step toward rebuilding trust." Sarah's eyes filled with relief, and she hugged him tightly. "Thank you, Ethan. This means more to me than you know." Ethan held her close, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. In the weeks following his conversation with Thomas Mitchell, Ethan felt a cautious optimism taking root. His efforts to change were beginning to yield positive results, both at Williams Tech and in his personal life. Sarah's demeanor had softened, and while their relationship was still on the mend, there was a newfound openness between them. Ethan's commitment to transparency and ethical leadership continued to reshape the company culture. He held regular town hall meetings, where employees could voice their concerns and share ideas. These meetings were a platform for candid discussions, and Ethan made sure to address every issue raised, demonstrating his dedication to making Williams Tech a better place to work. One afternoon, during one of these town hall meetings, Ethan introduced a new initiative aimed at fostering innovation. "I'm excited to announce the launch of our internal innovation hub," he said, addressing the assembled employees. "This hub will be a dedicated space where any employee can pitch ideas and collaborate on new projects. We want to harness the creativity and expertise of our entire team to drive our company forward." The announcement was met with enthusiastic applause, and Ethan saw Sarah's approving smile from across the room. After the meeting, Sarah approached him. "That was a great initiative, Ethan," she said. "I think it will really empower people to contribute in meaningful ways." Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Thanks, Sarah. Your feedback and support mean a lot to me." As the Innovation Hub began to take shape, Ethan made a point to be actively involved. He attended brainstorming sessions, offered guidance, and encouraged collaboration across departments. The energy in the office was palpable, and Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. One day, as Ethan was working late in the Innovation Hub, he received a call from Thomas Mitchell. "Ethan, I'd like to invite you to dinner at our home. I think it's time we had a more personal conversation." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. This was a significant step toward mending the rift with Sarah's family. "I'd be honored, Mr. Mitchell. Thank you for the invitation." The following evening, Ethan arrived at the Mitchell's home, feeling a mixture of nervousness and hope. Sarah greeted him at the door, her smile warm but tinged with apprehension. "Welcome, Ethan," she said. "Come in." Inside, the atmosphere was cozy and inviting. The smell of home-cooked food filled the air, and Ethan felt a pang of nostalgia for the family dinners he had missed out on in his relentless pursuit of success. Thomas and his wife, Linda, were waiting in the living room. Ethan extended his hand, and Thomas shook it firmly. "Thank you for coming, Ethan," Thomas said, his tone cordial. "Let's sit down and talk." As they settled around the dinner table, the conversation started with light topics: work, the weather, recent news. Ethan appreciated the effort to keep things pleasant, but he knew the real discussion was yet to come. After dinner, as they moved to the living room for coffee, Thomas cleared his throat. "Ethan, I want to thank you for reaching out and starting this dialogue. It's not easy to confront the past, but it's necessary for moving forward." Ethan nodded, his expression earnest. "I agree, Mr. Mitchell, and I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to make amends." Thomas looked thoughtful. "I've been thinking a lot about our conversation and about the impact of your actions on my career and my family. I've also seen the changes you're making at Williams Tech, and I appreciate your efforts. But trust isn't something that can be rebuilt overnight." "I understand," Ethan replied. "I'm willing to take it one step at a time, and I appreciate your willingness to give me that chance." Linda, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "Ethan, we've seen how much Sarah cares about you, and that means a lot to us. We want to support her, and if that means giving you a chance to prove yourself, then we're willing to do that." Ethan felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. That means more to me than you know." The evening continued with more conversation, and by the time Ethan left, he felt a weight lifting off his shoulders. It was a small but significant step toward healing the wounds of the past. As Ethan drove home, he reflected on the journey so far. He knew there was still a long way to go, but the progress he had made filled him with a sense of hope. He was determined to continue proving himself, not just to Sarah and her family, but to his employees and to himself. Back at the office, the Innovation Hub was buzzing with activity. Ethan made it a point to spend time there every day, encouraging employees and participating in discussions. The hub became a focal point for creativity and collaboration, and several promising projects emerged from it. One afternoon, Sarah approached Ethan with an idea. "I've been thinking about ways we can enhance our product's accessibility features. It's an area we've overlooked, and I believe it's crucial for reaching a wider audience." Ethan listened intently, impressed by her passion and insight. "That's a fantastic idea, Sarah. Let's set up a meeting with the development team to explore this further." The meeting was productive, and the team came up with several innovative solutions to improve accessibility. Ethan felt a deep sense of pride in the progress they were making, both as a company and as a team. As the weeks passed, Ethan and Sarah's relationship continued to grow stronger. They found a balance between their professional and personal lives, supporting each other through the challenges and celebrating their successes. Ethan's commitment to change was evident in every aspect of his life, and Sarah began to see the sincerity of his efforts. One evening, as they were having dinner at Sarah's apartment, she brought up a topic they had both been avoiding. "Ethan, I think it's time we talked about the future," she said, her tone serious but gentle. Ethan looked at her, his heart racing. "What do you mean?" "I mean us," Sarah replied. "We've come a long way, and I've seen how much you've changed. But I need to know where we're headed. What do you want for us, Ethan?" Ethan took a deep breath, his eyes meeting hers with unwavering determination. "Sarah, I want a future with you. I want to build a life together, to continue growing and learning from each other. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm committed to making things right and building something meaningful with you." Sarah's eyes filled with emotion. "I want that too, Ethan, but it's going to take time and effort. We need to keep being honest with each other and supporting each other through the ups and downs." Ethan reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I'm all in, Sarah. Whatever it takes, I'm here for the long haul." Sarah smiled, squeezing his hand. "Then let's take it one step at a time together." Ethan and Sarah's relationship had grown stronger, and the positive changes at Williams Tech continued to gain momentum. The company's culture was evolving into one of collaboration and innovation, and Ethan's leadership was widely praised. Yet, despite the progress, Ethan knew that building a lasting foundation required ongoing commitment and effort. One sunny afternoon, Ethan was in his office, reviewing a report on the Innovation Hub's latest projects, when he received a message from Sarah. "Can you come to the lab? There's something I want to show you." Curious, Ethan made his way to the lab. He found Sarah and a team of developers gathered around a table covered in sketches and prototypes. Sarah greeted him with a smile, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Ethan, we've been working on something special," she said, motioning for him to join them. "We've developed a new feature for our software that significantly enhances accessibility for users with disabilities." Ethan's eyes widened with interest as he examined the prototypes. "This is incredible, Sarah. Tell me more." Sarah and the developers explained the new feature in detail, showcasing its potential to make their product more inclusive and user-friendly. Ethan was deeply impressed by their dedication and ingenuity. "This is exactly the kind of innovation we need," Ethan said, his voice filled with pride. "Great work, everyone. Let's make this a top priority." As the team dispersed to continue their work, Ethan turned to Sarah. "You've done an amazing job leading this project. I'm so proud of you." Sarah blushed slightly, her smile widening. "Thank you, Ethan. It's been a team effort, and I'm glad we're making a difference." Ethan felt a surge of admiration for Sarah. She had always been a driving force at the company, but seeing her passion and leadership in action reaffirmed his belief in their shared vision. That evening, Ethan and Sarah decided to celebrate the success of the new feature. They went to a cozy restaurant in the city, where they enjoyed a delicious meal and reflected on their journey together. "You know, Ethan," Sarah said, her voice thoughtful, "when we first met, I never imagined we'd come this far. There were so many obstacles, so much pain, but I'm glad we didn't give up." Ethan reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Me too, Sarah. You've been my guiding light through all of this." I wouldn't be here without you. Sarah squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with emotion. We've both grown a lot, and I think we're stronger because of it. As they walked back to Sarah's apartment, hand in hand, they felt a deep sense of connection and hope for the future. The journey had been challenging, but it had brought them closer and made them more resilient. The next day at the office, Ethan called an all-hands meeting to announce the new accessibility feature. The room buzzed with excitement as employees gathered, eager to hear the latest news. "Thank you all for coming," Ethan began, his voice confident and warm. "I'm thrilled to share that our team has developed a groundbreaking new feature that will make our software more accessible to users with disabilities. This is a significant step forward for our company, and I want to commend Sarah and the entire development team for their hard work and dedication." The room erupted in applause, and Sarah's colleagues congratulated her on the achievement. Ethan felt a swell of pride as he watched Sarah receive the recognition she deserved. After the meeting, Ethan and Sarah met with the marketing team to plan the feature's launch. They brainstormed ideas for a campaign that would highlight the importance of accessibility and showcase their commitment to inclusivity. "This feature is more than just a technical upgrade," Ethan said during the meeting. "It's a statement about who we are as a company and our commitment to making technology accessible to everyone." The marketing team nodded in agreement, their enthusiasm palpable. They left the meeting with a clear plan to create a compelling campaign that would resonate with their audience. In the weeks that followed, the new feature was successfully integrated into the software, and the marketing campaign generated a positive response from customers and industry experts alike. Williams Tech was praised for its innovative approach and dedication to accessibility, further solidifying its reputation as a leader in the tech industry. One evening, Ethan and Sarah were relaxing at her apartment, enjoying a quiet moment together. Sarah turned to Ethan, her expression thoughtful. "I've been thinking about the future, Ethan," she said, "about what we want to achieve, both personally and professionally." Ethan looked at her, his heart filled with love and admiration. "What do you have in mind?" Sarah smiled, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "I want us to keep pushing the boundaries, to continue innovating and making a difference. And on a personal level, I want us to build a life together, to support each other's dreams and grow as a couple." Ethan felt a rush of emotion, his eyes meeting hers with unwavering sincerity. "I want that too, Sarah. More than anything. You've become such an integral part of my life, and I can't imagine a future without you." Sarah leaned in, their foreheads touching. "Then let's make it happen, Ethan. Let's build a future we can be proud of together." As they embraced, Ethan felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. The road ahead would undoubtedly have its challenges, but he was ready to face them with Sarah by his side. In the following months, Ethan and Sarah continued to lead Williams Tech with vision and purpose. The innovation hub flourished, producing a steady stream of new ideas and projects. Ethan's commitment to ethical leadership and transparency resonated throughout the company, creating a culture of trust and collaboration. Ethan also made amends with other individuals affected by his past decisions. He reached out to former rivals and employees, offering apologies and support. These gestures, while not erasing the past, helped to heal old wounds and build new bridges. One day, as Ethan was leaving the office, he received a call from his parents. They had been following his journey and wanted to congratulate him on the recent successes. "Ethan, we're so proud of you," his mother said, her voice filled with pride. "We've seen the changes you've made and the positive impact you're having. It's truly remarkable." Ethan felt a lump in his throat, his heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, Mom. That means a lot to me." As he hung up, Ethan reflected on the incredible journey he had been on. From a driven, ambitious CEO disconnected from the people around him, he had transformed into a leader who valued empathy, collaboration, and integrity. And through it all, Sarah had been his constant source of strength and inspiration. That evening, Ethan and Sarah took a walk through the park, the setting sun casting a warm glow over the landscape. They talked about their plans for the future, their dreams, and the goals they wanted to achieve together. "Ethan," Sarah said, her voice filled with determination, "I know we've faced a lot of challenges, but I believe we're just getting started. There's so much more we can do, both for the company and in our personal lives." Ethan smiled, his heart brimming with love and hope. I believe that too, Sarah. And as long as we're together, I know we can accomplish anything. Life at Williams Tech had become a harmonious blend of innovation, collaboration, and mutual respect. Ethan and Sarah's relationship continued to grow stronger, both personally and professionally. The company's success and the positive changes in its culture were evident. However, just as everything seemed to be falling into place, an unexpected challenge loomed on the horizon. One morning, Ethan arrived at the office to find a letter marked urgent on his desk. He opened it and quickly scanned the contents. His face paled as he read the message. A major competitor, Zenith Systems, had filed a lawsuit against Williams Tech, claiming intellectual property theft. Ethan's heart sank. Zenith Systems was a formidable adversary, and the allegations could potentially damage everything he had worked so hard to build. He immediately called an emergency meeting with the company's legal team and senior executives, including Sarah. In the conference room, Ethan laid out the details of the lawsuit. Zenith Systems is claiming that we stole their proprietary software designs. They're seeking substantial damages and an injunction to halt the release of our upcoming product. The room buzzed with tension as the team absorbed the news. Sarah, sitting next to Ethan, looked concerned but resolute. We need to gather all relevant documentation and evidence to prove our case, Sarah said. Our software development process has been transparent and independent. We have nothing to hide. Ethan nodded, appreciating her support. I agree. We'll conduct a thorough internal review and work closely with our legal team to build a strong defense. This is going to be a tough battle, but I believe we can overcome it. The legal team got to work immediately, combing through records, emails, and project files. They interviewed key personnel and gathered statements from employees involved in the development process. Ethan and Sarah worked tirelessly alongside them, determined to protect their company's integrity. As the days turned into weeks, the pressure mounted. The lawsuit attracted media attention, and speculation about the outcome ran rampant. Employees grew anxious, and the once optimistic atmosphere at Williams Tech became clouded with uncertainty. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, Ethan and Sarah found themselves alone in his office. The weight of the situation was evident in their tired expressions. Ethan, we're doing everything we can, Sarah said, her voice weary but firm. But this is taking a toll on everyone. We need to find a way to boost morale and remind our team that we're in this together. Ethan leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. You're right, Sarah. We can't let this lawsuit undermine the progress we've made. We need to show our employees that we're strong and united. They brainstormed ideas and decided to hold a company-wide town hall meeting to address the situation directly. They wanted to reassure their team and reinforce their commitment to transparency and integrity. The following day, Ethan and Sarah stood before the gathered employees in the company's auditorium. The room was filled with apprehensive faces, but Ethan felt a surge of determination. Thank you all for coming, Ethan began, his voice steady. As you know, we're facing a serious challenge with the lawsuit from Zenith Systems. I want to be clear. We did not steal their intellectual property. Our development process has been independent and ethical. Sarah stepped forward, her voice confident and reassuring. We're working tirelessly with our legal team to defend our company's integrity. This is a difficult time, but I believe in the strength and resilience of this team. We've faced challenges before, and we've always come out stronger. Ethan looked out at the crowd, feeling a deep sense of responsibility. I know this is stressful, but I ask you all to stay focused and continue the great work you've been doing. We're in this together, and we will get through it together. The employees responded with applause, their faces reflecting a mix of hope and determination. The meeting had a positive impact, and Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. In the weeks that followed, the legal battle intensified. Ethan and Sarah balanced their time between running the company and preparing for court. Late nights and long hours became the norm, but their bond grew stronger as they supported each other through the ordeal. One night, as they were reviewing documents in Ethan's office, Sarah looked up, her eyes filled with admiration. Ethan, I've seen how hard you've worked to transform this company and lead with integrity. No matter what happens, I want you to know that I'm proud of you. Ethan reached across the table, taking her hand. Thank you, Sarah. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Your support means everything to me. Sarah smiled, squeezing his hand. We'll get through this, Ethan. Together. The trial date approached, and the atmosphere at Williams Tech grew tense. The legal team was confident in their defense, but the uncertainty weighed heavily on everyone. Ethan and Sarah continued to lead with resolve, their unwavering commitment a source of strength for their team. On the day of the trial, Ethan and Sarah arrived at the courthouse, their nerves on edge. They were greeted by their legal team, who briefed them on the day's proceedings. As they entered the courtroom, Ethan took a deep breath, preparing for the battle ahead. The trial was intense, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. Zenith Systems lawyers were aggressive, but Ethan's legal team methodically dismantled their claims, presenting clear evidence of Williams Tech's independent development process. Witnesses from Williams Tech testified, providing crucial insights into the company's operations and ethos. Throughout the trial, Ethan and Sarah remained composed, their determination unwavering. They knew that the outcome would not only affect their company, but also their personal and professional reputations. After days of testimony and deliberation, the judge finally delivered the verdict. Ethan and Sarah stood together, holding their breath as the judge spoke. After careful consideration of the evidence presented, the court finds in favor of Williams Tech. The plaintiff's claims of intellectual property theft are unsubstantiated. The courtroom erupted in relief and celebration. Ethan turned to Sarah, his eyes filled with gratitude and joy. "We did it, Sarah. We won." Sarah smiled, tears of relief in her eyes. "Yes, we did. I knew we could." As they left the courthouse, surrounded by their cheering team, Ethan felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The victory was not just a legal one. It was a testament to the strength, integrity, and resilience of Williams Tech and its people. Back at the office, the atmosphere was jubilant. Ethan and Sarah addressed the employees, thanking them for their hard work and support throughout the ordeal. "This victory belongs to all of us," Ethan said, his voice filled with emotion. "We faced a tremendous challenge, and we came out stronger. Let's continue to build on this success and keep pushing forward." The applause was deafening, and Ethan felt a surge of pride and gratitude. He turned to Sarah, who stood beside him, her expression mirroring his own. "Here's to the future," Ethan said, raising his hand in a gesture of unity. "To the future," Sarah echoed, their eyes meeting in a moment of shared triumph. The courtroom victory against Zenith Systems marked a new chapter for Williams Tech. The tension that had gripped the company gave way to a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Employees felt proud of their resilience, and the triumph fueled a collective drive to innovate and excel further. For Ethan and Sarah, it was a turning point that solidified their bond and commitment to their shared vision. With the legal battle behind them, Ethan focused on reinforcing the positive changes he had implemented within the company. He continued to champion transparency, inclusivity, and ethical leadership, ensuring that Williams Tech remained a place where employees felt valued and empowered. Sarah played a crucial role in these efforts, her insights and leadership proving invaluable. One morning, Ethan gathered his senior team for a strategic planning session. The agenda was to outline the company's goals for the next 5 years and identify opportunities for growth and innovation. "First, I want to thank each of you for your dedication and hard work during the past few months," Ethan began, his gaze sweeping across the room. "Our victory against Zenith Systems was a testament to our collective strength and integrity. Now, it's time to look ahead and set ambitious goals for our future." The team discussed various ideas, from expanding their product line to exploring new markets. Sarah proposed an initiative to further enhance their accessibility features, building on the success of their recent project. "We've made significant strides in making our software more accessible," Sarah said, her voice confident. "But there's still much we can do. I propose we form a dedicated task force to explore cutting-edge technologies and partnerships that can help us lead the industry in this area." Ethan nodded, appreciating her forward-thinking approach. "That's an excellent idea, Sarah. Let's make it a priority." As the meeting continued, Ethan noticed a sense of excitement and optimism among his team. The trials they had faced had not only strengthened their resolve, but also ignited a renewed passion for their work. After the meeting, Ethan and Sarah took a walk around the campus, discussing the ideas and plans that had been presented. The sun was shining, and the air was filled with the sound of birds chirping, a stark contrast to the stress-filled days they had recently endured. "Ethan, I'm really excited about the direction we're heading," Sarah said, her eyes reflecting her enthusiasm. "We have an incredible team, and I believe we can achieve great things together." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "I agree, Sarah. This is just the beginning. There's so much more we can do, and I'm grateful to have you by my side." Their conversation turned to more personal matters as they strolled through the campus gardens. Sarah stopped by a bench under a large oak tree, and they sat down, enjoying the peaceful surroundings. "Ethan, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about," Sarah began, her tone serious yet gentle. "I know we've come a long way, and I'm so proud of everything we've accomplished. But I've been thinking about our future, both professionally and personally." Ethan turned to her, his expression attentive. "What's on your mind, Sarah?" Sarah took a deep breath, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of determination and vulnerability. "I want to make sure we continue to grow, not just as a company but as individuals and as a couple. I think it's important that we keep challenging ourselves and supporting each other's dreams." Ethan felt a surge of emotion. "I couldn't agree more, Sarah. You've been my rock through all of this, and I want to support you in every way I can." "What are your dreams, Sarah? What do you want for our future?" Sarah smiled, her eyes softening. "I want us to keep building this amazing company, but I also want to explore other passions and interests. I've always dreamed of starting a foundation to support young women in technology. I think it's crucial to empower the next generation of female leaders." Ethan's heart swelled with pride. "That's an incredible vision, Sarah, and I'll support you every step of the way. We can leverage Williams Tech's resources and network to make it a reality." Sarah's eyes shone with gratitude. "Thank you, Ethan. It means so much to me to have your support." They spent the rest of the afternoon discussing their plans, both for the company and for the foundation Sarah dreamed of starting. Ethan felt inspired by her passion and commitment to making a positive impact. Over the next few months, Sarah's vision began to take shape. She established the Tech Women Rising Foundation, with Ethan's full backing. The foundation's mission was to provide scholarships, mentorship, and resources to young women pursuing careers in technology. The initiative was met with enthusiasm and support from the tech community, further enhancing Williams Tech's reputation as a leader in both innovation and social responsibility. Ethan and Sarah worked tirelessly to ensure the foundation's success. They organized fundraising events, partnered with educational institutions, and launched mentorship programs. The impact was immediate and profound, with numerous young women benefiting from the opportunities provided by the foundation. One evening, after a particularly successful fundraising gala, Ethan and Sarah returned to his penthouse, exhausted but exhilarated. They sat on the balcony, overlooking the city lights, a sense of accomplishment settling over them. "Ethan, I can't believe how far we've come," Sarah said, her voice filled with wonder. "The foundation is thriving, and Williams Tech is stronger than ever. I feel like we're truly making a difference." Ethan reached out, taking her hand in his. "We are, Sarah, and it's all because of you. Your vision and dedication have inspired so many, including me. I'm so proud of what we've achieved together." Sarah leaned in, resting her head on his shoulder. "I couldn't have done it without you, Ethan. You've shown me what true partnership means, and I'm grateful for every moment we share." Ethan wrapped his arm around her, holding her close. "The feeling is mutual, Sarah. Here's to many more adventures and achievements together." As they sat in comfortable silence, Ethan reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. The challenges, the victories, the growth. They had all contributed to the strong bond he and Sarah now shared. The future was bright, and with Sarah by his side, Ethan felt ready to face whatever came next. The following day, Ethan and Sarah met with their team to discuss the next steps for Williams Tech and the Tech Women Rising Foundation. The energy in the room was electric, and the sense of purpose was palpable. "We've accomplished so much, but there's still more to do," Ethan said, addressing the team. "Let's continue to innovate, to push the boundaries, and to make a positive impact in our industry and beyond." Sarah nodded in agreement. "Together, we can achieve anything." Let's keep supporting each other and striving for excellence. The future is ours to shape. As the meeting concluded, Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The road to redemption had been long and challenging, but it had led to a place of genuine connection, growth, and purpose. With Sarah by his side and a team that believed in their vision, the possibilities were endless. The months following the successful establishment of the Tech Women Rising Foundation were marked by significant milestones for both Williams Tech and Ethan and Sarah's personal lives. The foundation's impact grew, with more young women entering the tech industry, supported by scholarships, mentorship, and career opportunities. At Williams Tech, the culture of innovation and integrity that Ethan and Sarah had fostered continued to flourish, resulting in groundbreaking projects and a highly motivated workforce. Ethan stood at the window of his office, looking out at the bustling city below. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the skyline. His thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. Sarah entered, a warm smile on her face. "Hey, Ethan, you ready for the big event tonight?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Ethan turned to her, his expression reflecting her enthusiasm. "Absolutely. It's a big night for us, Sarah. Celebrating the one-year anniversary of the Tech Women Rising Foundation and all the incredible work we've done." Sarah walked over and wrapped her arms around him. "I'm so proud of what we've achieved together. This foundation has changed so many lives, and it's just the beginning." Ethan kissed her forehead, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "And I'm proud of you, Sarah. Your vision and dedication have made this possible." That evening, they arrived at the grand ballroom where the anniversary gala was being held. The room was elegantly decorated, with banners showcasing the foundation's achievements and photos of the young women it had supported. The event was a star-studded affair, attended by leaders from the tech industry, philanthropists, and the beneficiaries of the foundation. Ethan and Sarah mingled with the guests, receiving heartfelt congratulations and sharing stories of the foundation's success. As the evening progressed, Ethan took the stage to address the attendees. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice filled with emotion. "Thank you all for joining us tonight to celebrate the one-year anniversary of the Tech Women Rising Foundation. This foundation was born out of a desire to create opportunities and support for young women in technology, and it has been a remarkable journey." He paused, glancing at Sarah, who stood beside him, her eyes shining with pride. "I want to thank Sarah Mitchell, whose vision and passion brought this foundation to life. Sarah, you have been an inspiration to us all, and your commitment to empowering the next generation of female leaders is truly extraordinary." The audience erupted in applause, and Sarah stepped forward, taking the microphone. "Thank you, Ethan," she said, her voice steady but emotional. "This foundation is a testament to what we can achieve when we work together with a shared vision and purpose. I am grateful to everyone who has supported us, and I am excited for what the future holds. Let's continue to make a difference and create a more inclusive and diverse tech industry." The applause was deafening, and Ethan felt a swell of pride as he watched Sarah receive the recognition she deserved. The evening continued with speeches from some of the foundation's beneficiaries, who shared their stories and expressed their gratitude for the opportunities they had received. As the event came to a close, Ethan and Sarah stood on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. The night was filled with a sense of accomplishment and hope for the future. "Ethan, we've come so far," Sarah said, her voice soft. "I'm so grateful for everything we've achieved together." Ethan nodded, his heart full. "And it's just the beginning, Sarah. There's so much more we can do." Sarah smiled, her eyes reflecting the city lights. "I agree, and with you by my side, I know we can accomplish anything." As they embraced, Ethan felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The journey had been long and challenging, but it had led to a place of genuine connection, growth, and purpose. Together, they had built a legacy of trust and innovation, and the future was filled with endless possibilities. Over the next few years, Williams Tech continued to thrive, expanding its reach and impact. The company launched several groundbreaking products, each one reflecting the values of integrity, inclusivity, and innovation that Ethan and Sarah had championed. The Tech Women Rising Foundation grew as well, supporting thousands of young women and making a lasting impact on the tech industry. Ethan and Sarah's personal lives flourished alongside their professional achievements. They traveled the world, exploring new cultures and gaining inspiration for their work. They also found time to give back to their community, volunteering and supporting various causes. One sunny afternoon, Ethan and Sarah found themselves back at the park where they had shared so many important conversations. They sat on a bench under the same oak tree, reflecting on their journey. "Ethan, do you remember when we sat here and talked about our dreams for the future?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with nostalgia. Ethan smiled, nodding. "Of course I do. It feels like it was just yesterday." Sarah leaned into him, her head resting on his shoulder. "We've accomplished so much, Ethan, and I'm so grateful for every moment we've shared." Ethan wrapped his arm around her, holding her close. "Me too, Sarah. You've been my partner, my inspiration, and my love. I can't imagine doing this with anyone else." Sarah looked up at him, her eyes filled with love. "Here's to many more years of making a difference and building a future together." As they sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set, Ethan felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. The road to redemption had been long and challenging, but it had led to a place of genuine connection, growth, and purpose. With Sarah by his side, he knew that they could face whatever the future held, confident that together they could build a legacy of trust, innovation, and love. The years that followed were marked by continued success and happiness. Williams Tech and the Tech Women Rising Foundation flourished, making significant strides in the tech industry and positively impacting countless lives. Ethan and Sarah's bond grew stronger with each passing day, their partnership a testament to the power of love, trust, and shared vision. As they looked back on their journey, Ethan and Sarah knew that their legacy would endure, inspiring future generations to lead with integrity, compassion, and a commitment to making the world a better place. Together, they had built something beautiful, and their story was a beacon of hope and possibility for all who followed in their footsteps.